Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream a little dream of me. Welcome, kindreds. It's Jessica, the Story Witch. Welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to do the Grumpy Witch tag. I saw this tag on Kellyanne Maddox's channel, and she'd seen it a few months earlier on Roller Derby, which is a brilliant channel. Roller Derby Witch, if you're in the US. I'm not usually a very grumpy witch, probably to do with my Libra ascendant. I like to keep things kind of, balanced. But today, I'm gonna get grumpy. Hope you enjoy. Question 1. Do you have a least favourite time of the year magically? So, really the answer to this one is no. Not very grumpy. We'll get there. I love all of the seasons, and I love that with each new season that you move into, there's a chance to do different kinds of magical workings. So in the kind of brighter, sunnier part of the year, it would be time for much more kind of expansive magic and things which involve working with other people more and kind of outer face type. That's kind of those kind of workings. Whereas as we move then from autumn and winter into the darker half of the year, that kind of shadow half of the year, it's the time for shadow work on yourself, the kind of darker stuff. So I guess perhaps the spring and summer can feel a little bit easier perhaps, but the good stuff is in the dark. So yeah, there's not a particular season that I don't like or doesn't work for me. I like and use them all. Particularly, I think, as well, like we get the chance to use these cycles in every single moon cycle as well. So I also enjoy the parts of the moon cycle, and I do quite a lot of blood magic. So also the menstrual cycle is very important to me. So those kind of seasons and cycles, there might be little parts of them which you think I enjoy this more than the other part, but they're all really important and they all have their uses and things to teach us. Where I'm going to get grumpy is I hate when the weather does not match up as it's supposed to do with the season. So, if you get like a really hot, the last few years in the UK, we seem to be having like really hot March. So everyone's like in their t-shirts, and then it gets to Beltane and it is freezing and pissing down with rain. Yeah, I don't like that. Question 2. Is there a herb that you don't like working with or never seems to work in your practice? Yeah, I liked what Kellyanne said in her video about herbs or herbs. It's something that as a witch that you feel like you should have, your kind of own apothecary of things to draw on. It's kind of the traditional image that you would expect. But I like to keep things very simple in my practice, and I hate stuff when you like have one particular thing and it has one use in one particular working and then you don't use it again. The same as in recipes, when you like buy something specific for a recipe and then it just languishes at the back of a drawer going bad. I don't like that. I don't think that's a respectful use of materials. So I would much prefer to use herbs that are, use them, use them, finish them, buy more when you need them. We moved just under a year ago now to the place where we live now, which is so good. It's so lovely, and there's loads of really close by things now where I will be able to go out and I will be able to collect things that I need. So I am going to be doing that more. And I think I do get a little bit grumpy about that aspect as well, in that I'm grumpy at my own lack of knowledge sometimes about the things that I want to know about and I want to do. So that's something I'm going to be working on. And also like the whole kind of, you know, in the ideal world, we go out on this particular time, we collect what we need, we bring it home, we prepare it, dry it, whatever, you know, so that it's going to be able to be used. Yes, that's the ideal. But a lot of people don't have the time or space for that in their lives. And so what gets me grumpy about this is that don't let it stop you. You know, if you need a specific ingredient, you can buy it. You know, you don't have to do everything yourself. Brilliant if you can, awesome if you can, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like, a lot of the time herbs can be used for, you can use more than one herb for the same thing. So substitutions, you know, for cleansing, you can use white sage, you can use Palo Santo, you can use mugwort. It doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, there might be slight energetic differences if from using different herbs, and the same as in if you're doing kitchen magic and you're cooking and you use something slightly different, then the end result won't be exactly the same, might be better. So I think keep it simple, use the things you have, and yeah, keep it simple. Question 3. Is there a stone or crystal that you don't like working with or doesn't seem to add anything to your practice? So crystals for me, and minerals, you know, rocks, stones, exactly the same as with herbs. Don't feel like you need to get every single one. You know, you don't need a whole A to Z of different crystals for your purposes. Maybe you do, I don't know. I don't need all those for my own purposes. I was going to say that I have only a very few crystals. I like to think that I do. I really streamline my practice. I don't have much stuff. And then I actually looked at what I have, and I probably do have more than I thought I did. The thing with crystals is very similar with herbs. They've all got their own unique properties and energetic resonance, which you can work with, but there are also lots which have similar properties. So you can use, and you might find that certain crystals will resonate with you and other crystals won't. And that changes too at different times of your life. So what I feel like here is that you shouldn't feel bad. I get grumpy when it's the whole kind of like knowledge thing again, you know, it's like, it's fine. In fact, I think it's better to start simple, get the things, try them out, use them, connect with them, really get to know. It's like, don't go off and buy, you know, like a whole ton of different stones, because you'll never actually understand each individual stone and what it can be used for. It's far better to have like a chunk of something and really connect with it, and then you'll understand its properties, you'll understand how to work with it and how it can work with you. Yeah, keep it simple. I think I said that already. Did I say that already? Keep it simple. Question 4. Is there anything that bothers you about your deity or your practice? Yeah, this question is so spot on for me right now at the moment. Is there anything, yeah. Basically, for a long time now, I've had an understanding of the kind of universal source is what I call it, that kind of energy, that universal energy. And for me, that is not it has the masculine and feminine, which is not the same as male and female, inside that. And we have to pick it apart into different, my understanding is that we kind of assigned aspects of that source to different deities so that we could understand, because our human consciousness cannot comprehend the fullness of source. So we break it down into deities, into personified deity, if you know, so that we can understand it. And also I thought of deity very much as archetypes. So for me, Aphrodite is exactly the same as Venus. And that was all going along pretty well for quite a long time, until a couple of months ago, when I am being, I'm having my hair pulled by personified deity. I did not see that coming. I did not really want that coming. So yeah, it's making me grumpy because I kind of felt like I had things worked out, and so but I'm enjoying it. I'm glad because it's a new thing. It's a new thing for me, and it's a new chance to learn and to deepen my understanding and my workings. And so I'm grateful, but I am a little bit grumpy. I'm not, am I? I'm just not grumpy enough for this video. I'm sorry. Question 5. What do you do when a spell does not work? I've watched a few of these Grumpy Witch Tag videos, and I think people are really nailing it with why spells don't work and like don't work. Sometimes it's not that it hasn't worked. Sometimes it is that you expected it to work in a certain way and it didn't. Sometimes it is that you should not have done the spell in the first place, maybe not in that particular way or for that particular reason. They usually work. If they're supposed to work, they work. Keeping it simple again, I'm going to go back to keeping it simple. The perfect amount of spell working to do in many situations is none. Yeah, none. For example, you've got maybe a friend who she's with somebody and she really likes them, but there's lots of things about them, that person, that she doesn't like, they're grating on her. So, you could do a spell, a working, to try and change that person to make the relationship more harmonious. Or you could do nothing and let things be as they should be. Perhaps they will work something out together, perhaps they will not. So if the spell hasn't worked, it was the wrong spell. Question 6. Have you ever done a meditation or astral work that has not worked for you? With meditation, yes, all the time. I never regret attempting it. Well, it's not even attempting it, is it? Sometimes you sit and you don't feel that you've had a fulfilling experience or a useful experience, but I do very much feel, I think Caffeinated Witch talked really good about this when she was talking about this, that it's never wasted time. You sit. With the projection, with the astral, it's not something that I would do. I don't find that. I find it strange that those things are combined together with meditation and the astral work. Yes, you do need to be in a very meditative state to do astral work, but it's for a reason for me. If I was going to do that, it would be for a reason, and I haven't had experiences of that not working because I would only do it when it needed to work. So I suppose the ways that you can kind of improve your experience is finding certain things that work for you. Like some people really connect with visualization. Guided visualization really works for them. So they will do much better with somebody talking them through it, taking them, describing their portals and things like that. For me, generally, that actually interferes with my my practice. Sometimes not. It really depends on who is guiding. But play around with it. Try. If you're finding the meditation is leaving you cold a lot of the time, then try different things. I use the Calm app, which is it is what it is. It's an app, but there is quite a lot of good content on there, and it is a good reminder to kind of keep sitting and keep doing, because I do find that good. And the thing that I find works the best for me is drum journeying. That is very reliable. So I think you can kind of find ways to make your practice, your meditation practice, more effective, and sticking with it, keeping on is important too. Question 7. Is there an element that does not work for you? I have things to say about the elements, which I won't say here in this video because this is I'm sticking to the grumpy tag. So I probably will make other videos about the elements, because they're one of those things that are like kind of handed down, and people use them without fully understanding them, I think, sometimes. Or I don't want to speak for other people, but I do see problems sometimes in the use of the elements. Yeah, and I'll talk about that again. But as far as an element not working for me in my practice, or an element I don't feel so connected with, it would have been, as a child, water would have been that. Even though I loved kind of swimming and things like that, I didn't see that as being the same as the kind of watery, emotional side of things. I kind of saw it as being very wishy-washy and not powerful, which now seems absolutely crazy to me. And I think this has got an awful lot to do with how the divine feminine generally in our culture is, my culture, is very much denigrated and is not seen as being as powerful as the divine masculine. And that's something I will probably talk about in another video. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to talk about these things further. But yeah, I think it was to do with that. It's to do with the divine feminine not being seen as in her full power. We don't see her. She's in the shadow. So I did have a disconnect with water, but now I don't. Now I love it. Question 8. How do you get out of a witchy rut? For me, my spirituality is just completely intertwined with creativity. I think creativity is kind of the expression of spirituality, and it's how I, certainly when I'm writing, if I'm making art, it is a divine connection. It's channeling. So if I'm in a witchy rut, then doing creative things, not forcing, because forcing is not usually helpful. Keeping on showing up, that is helpful, consistency. So even if you don't feel like writing or don't feel like practicing, then showing up and just allowing space for whatever comes through. And things that can help. You know what would really help? Go and watch some of Molly Roberts's videos about journal prompts, grimoire prompts, because she gives awesome ideas for things to do. It's those creative ideas, those creative prompts, and things like getting outside in nature, all that kind of thing. Something else that really works for me is buying something new that sparks my excitement again. It wakes up my mojo, my magical mojo. So something like maybe like a crystal or stories always work really great for me. So it's good to kind of like have a medicine bag, a tool bag of stuff that if you do get in a witchy rut, you can pull on those things. And also to just know, this is kind of crossing over more into my kind of like writer life type thing, but you guys may have heard of Stephen Pressfield. He's a really good author. He's the guy who wrote The Legend of Bagavants, and he is really kind of a spiritual connected guy, and he's written some really good books about he talks about resistance and how you really need to like kick resistance's ass. I love how he talks about it. So yeah, I'll put some links about him as well, so you can go and check that stuff out as well, because his writing I think would be really useful for getting out of witchy ruts. And one of the things that I loved about the way he talks about it is like resistance, as he calls it, or what might sometimes be seen as a block or a rut, is often because you're just about to get to something really good. You're just about to make a fucking breakthrough. So the way he talks about resistance, like resistance really doesn't want you to do that, so that's when it throws the block in your way. That's when you're in a rut. So if that's something that kind of speaks to you, then maybe check out his writing, because that is I found it really, really good. Question 9. How do you deal with life getting in the way of your practice? This area is one that, especially since I've had children, I have 2 children, and they're home educated, so they don't go to school. So that means they're pretty much with me all the time, which is wonderful. I wouldn't have it any other way unless they choose to go to school. But it does mean that time for practicing is more squashed. And this is something that I have got extremely grumpy about, especially in the past when they were babies, because then things are really, their need for you, their genuine need for you is constant. And so then when that happens, it's about finding the cracks between finding those little corners of time that you think aren't there. I had to give up the whole kind of like, I'm going to set aside an hour, or I'm going to set aside an afternoon, what a luxury, to do a ritual or to work on my craft. Yeah, that doesn't happen, hardly ever happens now. They're getting older, and I can see that there is going to be some wonderful, more meaty, longer time that I will have, that is gonna, and as I move more into crone status, then I will have that. But I'm not in a rush. I'm happy at the moment finding, I'm just too happy about everything. The sun's shining. It's hard to be grumpy today. I liked what the pagan scholar said about this question when he was doing the tag. He said that, like, kind of separating it into life and practice is an artificial construct. You know, there is no separation. Your life is your practice is your life. They are necessarily together. So if keeping that in mind is helpful for me, and like I said, finding those tiny little moments. So it's that kind of everyday magic, those little rituals. So making a certain cup of tea in the morning, you know, that can be infused with so much magic that it nourishes you. And when I put on my rings, often I will say words as I do that, get dressed, as you are doing, you know, if you're putting on makeup or if you're bathing or having a shower. You know, they call them beauty rituals for a reason. They are rituals. It is something that we do to nourish ourselves, and it can be done in a non-nourishing way if you are feeling like, oh, I've got to do this as fast as I possibly can and I've got no time. But noticing those little moments and really, really appreciating them and holding them close to your heart, and gleaning as much as you can out of those tiny times, that is the way I found to not be grumpy about life getting in the way of my practice. Question 10, the final question. What do you do when you have all these negative feelings about your practice? This one for me is very similar to the getting out of the witchy rut question, because I find the same things help me when I'm feeling negative. Then those kind of reconnection type activities, so they were the things I talked about, so keep on keeping on, you know, keep showing up, keep your consistency in your practice even if you maybe don't feel like it, but whilst also being really gentle with yourself and keeping that space, not feeling like you have to be a certain way, allowing what is to be. That I find really helpful. I've talked a little bit about keeping it simple, and I think when I'm feeling negative, stripping things back even more does really help me. So I'm not having to do anything elaborate and hardcore and very energetically draining. Just do the little nourishing, important things, and soon that negativity will dissipate, you know. Also, not adding to the negativity by feeling negative about the negativity. So you can be negative and notice that. And then you can just move past. That's what I find. That's what I find. So that's it. That's the 10 grumpy witch questions. I'm really sorry that I wasn't very grumpy. I obviously need to work on my grumpiness a little bit more. This is actually the first video I filmed for my channel, so I hope that you really liked it. I'm not sure if I will be doing tag videos on the regular, but I have committed to, in 2018, I'm going to be posting regularly. I'm going to do at least a video a week and maybe more videos. So I would really love some feedback from you guys. Let me know if you watch the video. Please let me know in the comments if there's anything else you'd like me to talk about. And I think that is it. What am I supposed to say now? You know, like and subscribe, blah, 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 and all that. I really love you. Thank you so much for watching. If there's anybody watching, warmest blessings. Thank you. Da 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 da.